Well, years ago when I was in the agency business, okay, it was pastoral agency, you know, I was an auctioneer of cattle and used to sell pastoral properties.
Yeah.
And this old fellow from further down the coast, he got in touch with me. He said, "You're advertising a place there south of Charter Stairs." He said, "I'd like to have a look at it." And I said, "Well, yeah, fair enough." I was town for us. And he said, "Well, this is about 9 o'clock in the morning." He said, "I'll be up in about 2 hours." I said, "Oh, well, hang on, I've got to let people know." And no, he said, "I'll be there in 2 hours." And I think he was there in an hour and a half. But anyway, and these people weren't on the telephone. You had to get through to them by the Royal Flying Doctor Service radio. But anyway, I got a message. I sent a telegram via that saying I wanted to have an inspection the next day, and I didn't specify a time because I didn't know what time we were going to get away. But old Bill arrives up and he said, "Let's get going." And I said, "Well, Bill, you know, I've just sent him a telegram to say that we'll inspect the place, but I haven't given them a date." "Oh, bugger that, like if they're selling the place, well, let's go and look at it." And so I had no sort of alternative other than to say, "Well, right, how we go?" And I thought, well, we'll stay the night in Charter Stairs, which was only, you know, an hour and a half drive from town. For I think we had feed before we left town and went off to Charter Stairs. And I'm thinking to myself, we'll stay at a motel and I'll be able to sort things out with these people. But no, Bill says, "No. What do we want to stay at a motel for? No, let's keep going. We've got that far down the road." So at 4 o'clock in the afternoon we rolled into this place called Plain Creek. And when we drove in, the homestead wasn't far from where we drove in, and immediately behind it was a machinery shed. And there were two blokes over here talking in the machinery shed, so I drove right past the house and I drove over to these two fellas. And this bloke came forward and he said, "Yes, what do you want?" And Milt from Australian Estates. This is Bill Porter. He wants to have a look at the property. I sent you a telegram. "Yes, but," he said, "we only just received the telegram." And well, I said, "Is it going to worry you? Can we look at the property?" "Well," he said, "you know, you can't look at the property now at this time of the day." And I said, "Well, obviously that's pretty sort of, we've both got a swag and a cording with us." And he said, "Well, you come back tomorrow. You can look at it." Well, I don't know, 20 mile down the highway is what they call Glenda crossing, and it's got a couple of units there. I thought, "Oh, well, we'll have to go down there." So I said, "Oh, rightio, you know, fair enough. He's not inviting us to stay." And I'm going past the house on the way out, and a woman comes out and she voices and she introduces herself. And she said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "We're going down to Glenda Crossing to stay the night." "Oh," she said, "there's rooms here." She said, we can put you up. You get So anyway, we pull up there, get the swag and get the port out, and go in and sharing a room. And she's very, very nice to us. We'd like a cup of tea and so on. And Bill, yeah, she had a cup of tea. And he says to me, "Well, you know, we've only seen 100 yards of the property," as he put it. "It's only seen 100 yards of it," he said, "but it looks pretty fair country." But he said, the woman is a very nice country woman, you know, she's very good. And invited us to a cup of tea and so on. So we have a cup of tea and she shows us to this bedroom. And there's a bloody dog there. She's got there that's one of those corgis. And Bill said, I hate bloody dogs in the house. I said, I fancy having a dog in the house. Then dogs fall on my back with the cord. Anyway, we went and had a bath. And we had a light meal. Went to bed. And I woke up in the morning and Bill's shaking or something. He said, have you seen my slippers? And I said, your slippers? No, I haven't seen your slippers. What? And he said, well, one of my slippers are gone. It's that bloody dog. I can tell you now, it's that bloody dog. And I said, Bill, the door's been closed. Have you been out to anywhere? He said, I went out to the toilet. Well, I said, did you close the door? He said, of course I closed the bloody door. And I said, oh, well, I don't know what happened to your slipper. He's down looking under both beds and whatnot. And he said, that bloody dog's taken it, I can tell you now. Next thing we knock on the door and Mrs. Colson calls out, would you, we're ready for breakfast. And I had it out on the back deck like this here. We go out and as I walked out the door, over in this corner I could see a blue slipper. And it's been badly chewed. and I know Bill sees it too, you know. But we sit down with the Colsons and have breakfast, and not until we finish breakfast and Bill says, your dog took my slipper last night and chewed it up. And she looked... I'm only the bloody age and I'm the in-between person here, I'd have to just think, I thought, Jesus, it's going to be a bad day, I know. And she says, yes, Mr. Porter, I see that. She said, give me the brand and the size and I'll send you a new feed. And Bill never said anything to her. He just got up from the table and we got out and walked out, got into the Land Rover and did an inspection of his property. And Bill said, well, I'm no fool, he said. You just got to look at the cattle and you can see it's good property. He said, well, I'll give that to you. You've got good cattle and you've got good property. But he said it needs a lot of work doing to it. It needs a lot more water on it. He said, and I wouldn't pay you anywhere near the price that you want for it. I'll give you $25,000 less than the other. And Alan Collison said, well, it's been good knowing you. That's it, finished. This is about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, I missed the tea.
I know, I was waiting for that.
Before we went to bed, before the dogs got the slipper, we went to the tea table, and there's the Colsons and next thing, Mrs. Colson brings in and puts a high chair there. And I'd never seen any childhood in a place like. And then when we're all sitting down, she calls out to this dog, whatever she called it, Floozy or whatever. Floozy, tea's ready. And Floozy, this dog comes out and she puts it up and she puts it between her and Bill Porter.
In the high chair.
He bloody, I thought he nearly upset the table when he jumped up. He let out a yell that was... He'd already told me what he thought about dogs in the house, like. But I couldn't believe it, the bloody turn he put on. And he shot away from the table and went outside. And I said, I went to get up and Alan Collison said, look, I'll sort this out, So we went out to him. and Mrs. Colson's in tears, and the dogs jumped off the bloody high chair, and I said, well, look, I'm terribly sorry about this. What I really meant was, how bloody stupid can you be to bring a dog to the table, you know? But I said, I'm terribly sorry about this, like, Bill's bloody ideas about dogs in the house and so on, but she's crying and whatnot. Alan's out talking with Bill. I thought, all right, you know, so I went and grabbed our ports and took them out to the car because I thought, where are we going? We're going, you know, we're not going to stay here and what. And anyway, when I walked outside the ports, well, Alan and Bill are over at the shed talking. And I went over and I said, well, I'll put these ports in the car. And Alan said, there's no need for that, nothing. He said, Bill and I have talked this over and, you know, it's okay, you know. I can understand you being upset. And don't worry about it. You go to bed and have a good sleep and we'll do the inspection in the morning. Well, the inspection in the morning started with the bloody slipper. And so we went out and did the inspection, then it ended up with a 25,000 offer. 25,000 less offer, see? Colson says no. And I've got, as the agent, you know, generally you'll say, well, hang on, you fellas, you know, would you meet halfway or something like that? But no, the agent's excluded from it altogether. He's got no say in the matter whatsoever. And Bill said, well, we'll be off. And I went back, and they were still talking. I went back and Mrs. Colson said, what's happening? And I said, well, Bill's not going to buy the property unless he can buy it at his price. And Alan's saying, well, he's got another agent interested in it and whatnot. So I said, I'm afraid that's going to finish up, you know, and I'm terribly sorry about the whole business. And she said, give me Bill's address and I'll send these slippers on to him. And so we went and got in the car and we got down the boundary gate, which wasn't far away. And you know, you expect your passenger to get out and bloody well open the gate. But Bill doesn't look like getting out and opening the gate. I said, what's the matter now? He said, I'm just thinking, what a bastard of a thing to do to put a dog at the table. And I got up and I opened the gate and drove through it and crazy to get up and through, and I thought, oh shit, what a terrible bloody day, you know. I knew it was a bad day when I woke up.